wanted to try to carve out time. I'm going to speak very briefly in regards to a very short agenda that we actually did last week. I know some of you guys were there. Just talking about scaling your business and avoiding being a bottleneck within your business. How many of us can agree that most of us are bottlenecks in our business? Right?
Yeah.
I hope. Good. Some of you guys aren't raising your hands. That's awesome. One of the things that we always say, being a bottleneck in your business, how many of us have said that nobody can do something just as well as I can? Right? And it's a very hard thing for us to accept, and we're going to go over some of the things from the art of delegation, but also some of you guys might have heard of this thing called AI, right? Just a little bit, right? Maybe you haven't. We're going to go over some of the things of what we have been implementing really over the last year and a half, but truly over the last year, that's helped us, most importantly, talk to more clients on the phone more than ever, which a lot of us think is the opposite, right, with automation and technology. But also, from a big portion of it, we're all primarily business owners or somewhat commission-based employees. We're all here to make money, right, and actually save money and stuff. So one of the things that we're proud of alongside with our team, 2024 to 2025, we had an increase of net profit revenue of 210%, meaning we 4x'd in our business what we were looking to obviously accomplish. And putting a lot of those things in perspective, I'm going to share some of the stuff that we did, along with a 40% increase in volume, which some of you guys might have heard, real estate kind of sucks right now, and it's improving, and it's one of the proudest things that we're able to have, right? So some of the stuff, and you guys tell me, when we talk about being a sales roller coaster, right? Do some of you guys have months where you do really, really well, and you're working your butt off, and then you turn around and you're like, shit, I got nothing going on, right? A lot of us probably suffer into that perspective, not willingly knowing, but some of us might have higher turn time from a client experience, right? Where with us, when we work with a consumer, we don't pre-approve them, and they magically find a house tomorrow, and then we get our commission the following day, right? There's somewhat of a gradual experience. We have helped some clients. I know some of our partners who've been here literally close in a week. But the general traditional perspective is anywhere from 30 to 45 days from a closing perspective, right? The art of avoiding that sales roller coaster is so critical in our business. And I put up here about 4 different stuff, right? One month we're making anywhere from 10 to 30 grand, and then the following month we look at it and we're like, oh shit, I got nothing going on, right? Another important part is your time drain, right? How many of us wake up super early in the morning and then work till super late at night? A lot of us, I think, might find ourselves in that perspective. If you're not, congratulations. The best kept secret, right? How many of us want to stay the best kept secret with their clients? Well, hopefully not, right? You want your clients to, I hate this saying too, know you, like you, and trust you. I don't really care if my clients like me. They damn well better know me and trust me, right? Our message might be a little bit more direct, but I know for a fact that by the time we are done with a conversation with a consumer, whether it's over the phone, Zoom, or preferably in person, they themselves are going to agree with the option that they're picking from a financial perspective. Okay? And then last is the delegation trap. For those of you guys who may have employees or may have admins or anything of that stuff, an important part of being able to not be physically in multiple places at once. I've tried, I haven't figured out how to clone myself physically, right? So the art of delegating to our team, right? We're proud to have numerous loan officers spread throughout the entire country. And then we have several loan officers here in New Jersey having that opportunity to do things just as well as we can, right? So this will probably be, I'm gonna drop this on our YouTube channel, and then I'll share as a recap alongside with Pete's stuff. But if you guys think of this acronym builders, whenever I give these presentations, we always speak in acronyms. So when you're building out a successful framework in your business, think of putting a blueprint together, unlocking action, which I think is a big part of what a lot of us sometimes, not purposely, don't do, but we spend so much time in what I call the lab, planning, and then before we know it, the event comes up or the time to speak with a consumer comes up, and we don't actually execute, right? And all that planning that we end up putting in place, we either end up forgetting or we just lose time to put it together. Identity edge, right? Again, most of you guys who know me, I do not wear anything except our Got Mortgage brand, right? It's embedded, it's wrapped on my car, it's spread throughout our entire industry with the opportunity to allow ourselves to stand out over a competitive industry. Leadership is critical, right? Whenever we're sitting there and we're assigning something to our originators to do, think of it from your individual perspective. My feet is not on the table telling our loan officers to do this or do that. I am right there in the trenches, as I'm sure most of us are in our business models, whether you're a contractor, inspector, whatever business, marketing, having the opportunity to do so is critical. And so on and so forth, right? Distinct branding, energy and accountability is critical. Our accountability metrics, I think, is one of the biggest reasons why I know some of our loan officers hate it, but allows them the opportunity to sit back. We track emails, minutes on the phone, conversations that are had, where most of us in many instances think of it when you have your relationships with your sales professionals, a lot of the times we're just scaling them based on what they've closed. Which are very hard metrics to scale, especially sometimes in our world as we go through somewhat ebbs and flows of now the spring and summer market. In our industry traditionally tends to be the busiest times. It's the preparation into those markets that allow you the ability to be successful. Replacing yourself, which is going to be the biggest part of this, not just from a voice or video. I despise AI videos. I'm not a fan of AI avatar video. I personally think that means you're taking the lazy way out rather than picking up the phone and putting a super short 10, 15 seconds, thank you that partner for meeting with them in person, or that conversation with a consumer. It really goes a long way. And then the last, of course, is smart hiring and scaling, which is probably, I think, for the most of us who have our business owners, is the hardest part, right? Where you want to give somebody a shot when you hire them, and then obviously give them the ability to scale. How many of us live and die by our calendar, right? I'm a firm believer that the calendar is the CEO of your life, right? Everything, as I say, it took me a very long time. I've been with my wife for 18 years to finally get her to accept that we need to put the kids' school activities on my calendar, right? So the calendar is very important, and it's funny, you'll see it, this was generated and it says all of my calendar stuff is all color-coded, but what's in red is my mandatory personal family time to ensure that I'm physically there as well. I've got two beautiful children, and having that opportunity to be there is very important, right? If it's not on my calendar, it's not gonna happen. Most of us have seen, if I sit down with you, probably the second we even talk about having a meeting, I'm pulling my phone out and I'm sending you a calendar invitation, because it's the critical importance that if I'm going to meet with a client, a partner, or anybody in that matter, I want to physically ensure that I'm there, and my team is dedicated to ensure that I'm stopping what I'm doing to give that consumer the time to make. All right. So this was one that we talked about when we talk about shooting content, right? And you'll see how I'm going to tie all this together. How many of us think that we can put more content on social media? How many of us put content on social media? Okay, hello, everybody raise their hand. So the importance of putting content on social media was the wave, right? Let's call it 3-4 years ago, right? Where put content, short form videos, and then it's transitioned into now AI. And I think now the biggest point this year from what I've seen is the authenticity of execution, right? So this is a framework that we put for our originators. For 60 minutes, for 1 month, you have the opportunity to put a minimum of 8 videos out there, 2 videos a week. Now, you don't have to be like me who posts 3-4 times a day, right, and have a team to do so, but 10 minutes to figure out what you're going to do. It has not gotten easier now with AI in order to do so. And listen, whether you use Chat, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, whatever goddamn AI platform that you use, the way I treat that stuff is I want it delivered to me in the way that I teach you how to do it. Same way for an employee. The example I always say is just like when if any of us have children, young children, and we need them to do something, we're gonna explain it to them. If you guys have ever heard of Simon Sinek's Start With Why, it's a great book, highly recommend it. And he goes, how do you ask the question? What does Simon say, the 3 golden rule? Why, how, what, right? And we read that in, I wanna say last year around July, and now every single conversation that I have with a consumer, instead of saying, what is the products that you're gonna get, FHA or conventional? How can I help you because I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread? And then the last thing I ask them is, why are you looking to buy it? That sucks. I'm coming off so salesy. Rather than the first conversation is, hey, you were recommended to me by John Doe, why are you looking to buy? Well, you know, I got a couple bucks, okay? So there's no sense of urgency, which means that with that consumer, I gotta maybe coach them a little bit, provide as much education, drop our Dot Mortgage University information to share with them, versus my landlord's selling the house and I gotta get the hell out and I don't wanna rent. there's a little bit more sense of urgency where the delivery of the message is going to be a little bit more hasty, rather than that one consumer who is going to get the same level of experience, but might be given to them a little bit more drastically, where they're not thrown so much at them and they're like, oh, this is too much, I don't want this, right? So 10 minutes to put the stuff together, 20 minutes, which is very graceful, to actually put the content in a teleprompter has never gotten easier now, right? You don't need to go to ABC News and get a fancy teleprompter, right? You've got it now right on your cell phone or right on whatever platform that you use on a TV, hit the button and it goes there, right? And practice, practice, practice makes the perfect repetition. And then shooting the content, 30 minutes of content, if you get 8 videos out there, you now have a wide spread of content. It's never gotten easier now. You only have to do it once. You got your hair done, your nails done, you got your best clothes on, you shoot the content, you put it out there, and then you space it out in the schedule. Right? How many of us are going to commit to get that done? Love it. ROI. So most of us, when we think of ROI from an investment perspective, return on investment. When we're talking about content and thinking of it that way, we're going to talk about being relevant, right? How many of us want to relate better to our clients, right? Yeah. Relevancy, omnipresence, and identity, right? So I need to be able to relate to my consumer. If there's somebody who I just got recommended to 2 minutes ago for a reverse mortgage, right? I know for a fact that the way I'm going to articulate the message and delivery to that consumer is going to be so much different than a 25-year-old who's a first-time home buyer who doesn't have equity, doesn't have assets, and wants stuff to be electronic and just wants to complete an application on it. So I need to be able to deliver that message and relate to that consumer differently. Omnipresence, of course, is you need to be found everywhere. Right? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Threads. Who uses Threads, right? I don't, but it's connected to my Facebook, so I actually do go and get on there. And Google My Business profile. Does everybody here have a Google My Business profile? Yes, very important. And just like I always share, when you're posting your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, do not forget to post on your Google My Business profile. Google will reward you, not just for reviews, but for photos and the consistency of, there's a tab under there called updates, where you guys can post and get more content out there. You're the whiz in that world, right? Am I doing okay? Cool. An important part when we hear it is prompting, and I mentioned this a little earlier, is when we're looking to ask AI, taking it back, how do we want something to be done? It's called prompting, right? Have some of us heard that, right? When we wanted to do something. And I always say, you gotta treat prompting like I'm talking to my 6-year-old son, right? And it needs to be done in this fashion. I'm sure there's so many different abbreviations to do it, but who is the AI role, right? Some of you guys, do we start our prompts with, I'm a successful graphic design, right, agent or designer or whatever it is. I want you to do this. I want it to be targeted to this audience, and this is the format that I want it done. How many of us prompt like that? You guys are rock stars. I don't need to be here, right? So the role, who is the AI agent asking for? So I am a successful mortgage professional. My role, I'm talking to a specific first-time home buyer, and I want you to be able to break down this monthly payment versus this monthly payment for that consumer, and I need it to come in as if you're speaking to somebody where this is the first time they're understanding that. Go, right? A lot of people say, oh, you know, ChatGPT or ABC sucks. I'm gonna go and shift to Claude, right? That's the new thing right now, right? Because it got banned by the government, so now everybody wants to go and shift to it. It beats out ChatGPT as the #1 downloaded app. We stick within one ecosystem and always learn how to refine those crafts along the way, right? Another important part of where we utilize AI, and I'll work on teeing us up, is how many of us till this day, when we have business cards, hopefully we're doing this, at a minimum is we're typing up that client's contact information in a CRM, right? How many of us use a CRM? Cool, right? So manual entry. Now, the shift to it, the new era, right, as I call it, is being able to tie it all up with technology. How powerful is it to take somebody's business card in a specific dedicated AI assistant and have it be able to put all the info together? Now, the way I always bring it back to, when a teammate says, how do I do this? I'm like, well, again, we got to dial it back. What are you looking to do? How are you looking to target? And why are you using a specific platform? So think about it. How many of us follow up with a client or with a professional after we met at a networking event? How many do it consistently? Well, dude, we didn't have to be here, right? Right? You guys don't need AI, you guys are peace. So again, doing it, I know for a fact that I tell myself that we do it consistently, but I know for a fact that I don't. Like half the time I literally have, I think it's your card because it was gold. I've got 2 cards in here, and I know why my wife likes to do my laundry, because she goes for the cash, right? And she throws these out. So when Pete introduced us to his platform, we obviously started to use it a little bit more. And then a couple colleagues of ours, I started getting emails from them, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then I remembered, oh, he had me scan his QR code on his phone, and it brought me back to the application that Pete's going to talk to us about. And I was like, okay, there's something here. Then I know for a fact that I'm not doing that while at it. So tying this all up, these are specific statistics in regards to the art of follow-up, right? We talk to a consumer. I would probably say our consumer direct side, right, is somewhat dialed in with having teammates and having your sales assistants being able to follow up. But if you look at these stats, it's pretty crazy, right? Nearly half of sales professionals don't